Hey guys, it's Lilu. I wanted to do a download festival lowdown, just a kind of a review and experience of my download festival last week. So I got back from download festival yesterday. Normally I'm back about sort of 1 in the afternoon and leave sort of early-ish on a Monday, but I didn't get back until 7 o'clock in the evening, which is a bit mental, after getting stuck in a severe traffic jam in the North car park when we was leaving Download Festival. So that was not exactly ideal on a Monday, and that kind of left me with not really much time to do anything when I got home, like properly unpack, properly do my hair and all the rest of it. So hence why I look like this. There was some highs and there was some lows at Download this year, so I just kind of wanted to run through it to give you a rough lowdown of my experience. So firstly, I've got sunburn. You could probably see my face is quite red here, although I have got makeup on, so it's probably not bad. Although my neck, you could really see the sunburn here, and you could probably see the sunburn here on my hand as well, because that's a suntan for a ginger person. I've got a nice white band there, so I did get a bit of sunburn. So on the Wednesday, got there, started spitting as we was setting up for camp, which was a bit shit, not really ideal. Rained a little bit as we was in the queue to get into the festival. Got there about 9:15 in the morning, left here about 7:30, so it was a bit later than I wanted to, but you know, I was hanging around for about an hour to 2 hours, just sort of chilling in the queue. Finally got in, had to walk all the way across, you know, through camp, through Purple Camp, through the village, all the way down to Camping Plus, got ourselves set up. Actually didn't go through the village on the way there, that's a lie. We actually came through Purple, and then it kind of goes up a big obscene hill, and then you get up to Camping Plus, and Nico are up there. Set up of Camping Plus was bloody lovely this year. No issues whatsoever with the showers were just amazing compared to last year. Everything was now under cover, under this nice sort of tent that was open with all this carpeted area underneath, which was really nice touch. It made it feel very homely and very cozy. Really good cubicles. They kept the toilets stocked up with toilet roll and hand gel, and they were I didn't have a single issue with a single cubicle the whole time I was there. It was really nice and clean. I definitely noticed that Camping Plus was busier than last year, and also Camping Plus was bigger than last year as well. So that overall it was much bigger, broader experience. There was a lot of people in my camp who clearly had not been to Download Festival before. There was a lot of newbies, and I don't know if they were, you know, because Glastonbury Festival wasn't on, or if they were there for a band like Day to Remember, or they were just big Linkin Park fans. But there was definitely a crowd that was unfamiliar with Download Festival, and I'll come back to that later on. But for the most part, Camping Plus was really chill. Definitely doesn't have the experience of standard camping. I don't think there's a lot of energy in Camping Plus or vibes. I think everyone's quite well behaved, and for the most part people keep themselves clean and keep themselves and stuff like that, which I find a little bit disappointing, to be honest. I much prefer the atmosphere of standard camping, although it can be obscenely noisy at night. Not that that's an issue, but yeah, it was fairly chill. The other good thing about Camping Plus is it's really close to the village. It's really easy to get into the village, so you can experience the nightlife on the Wednesday and Thursday and the rest of the time, but also it's fairly easy to get straight into the stadium. But the actual walk from camp to your car park and vice versa, when you're getting there and packing up and going home, is killer. It is not enjoyable. But anyway, so yeah, got ourselves set up. Was a little bit rainy when we were setting up, no big deal. Wednesday we just sort of chilled. It was a really early start, so it was just really getting used to our surroundings, having a few drinks in camp, having a look around the village, checking out the shops, buying some food, that sort of thing, going to the co-op that's on site, which is really good. Thursday, there was a bit of nightlife in the village, and that we went to go and see Electric Six in the doghouse, which was really great fun. I haven't seen Electric Six before, but Electric Six are a band that I've been a fan of for quite a long time. I really, really love the albums Fire and Sing Your Smoke. I don't get the albums after that, I'll be honest, because I kind of feel like it lulled a little bit and then they kind of went a little bit off the radar. But I do have a friend who is obsessed with Electric Six, so I was quite glad to pop my Electric Six cherry. I think Dick Valentine is really charismatic and he's a really good frontman, but I kind of felt a little bit disappointed with Electric Six, I'll be honest. I was really expecting to have like a lot of energy and just to be like, I don't know, I think maybe I had really high expectations when I went in, but also yeah, I don't know, I just feel like there was a lot of expectation and maybe they didn't quite hit the mark for me. But regardless of that, I really, really enjoyed it. And then in the evening on the Thursday, like we had the Venga Boys last year, they had like this little pop act of the 90s to kind of get us nostalgic and all fired up. And that was the boy band Five. Now, I was 13 years old, 13 years old when, you know, the likes of Steps and Five and 911 and Boyzone and, you know, all of those kinds of boy bands and girl bands like Spice Girls and stuff, all of that was like on fire. That was the, you know, that was the time, you know. I used to buy like Smash Hits magazine, or I used to have like stickers and like a little CD in there with all of their stuff. And like, I remember Aaron Carter and Bewitched and all of these like pop, you know, bubblegum pop bands that were really big in the early 90s. And I was really into trance as well. I was really into dance music and the rave scene. I was into all of that kind of music at a really young age. I wasn't obviously out raving because I was like 12, 13, but I was really into all that sort of stuff. And my cousins were really into the rave scene, and they were actually the ones that were going out raving. So I got well into it. And I don't know, like, I've seen a few different pop acts at Download now. I've seen McFly, I've seen Busted, I've seen Venga Boys, and I was like quite hyped for Five, I'm not gonna lie. And they were just fucking great. They had a live band, they were really energetic, really hyped. It was literally bam, 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 all of the hits one after the other. Played for half an hour of that, and I think everybody loved them. The crowd went wild. It was absolutely rammed in there. It was so much fun. And we just had a fucking blast. It was fucking great. And it really set the tone for the festival. I really fucking loved it. And then we went to this thing in the Den called Bongos Bingo, which was just the wildest, most mental scene I've ever seen in my life. It was based like three guys in their, probably in their early 40s, late 30s, who were just basically, two of them were dressed in drag and they were just dancing around the place. I think one was called Slutty Susie and the other one was called, I don't even remember, if something Heidi, Horny Heidi, I think it was. And literally had like the pigtails and was dressed all kind of Swiss-esque. And they were just basically playing like techno music and raving on stage and just behaving wildly inappropriately. And then like the occasional like, you've won a karaoke machine, and then they would just chuck a fucking random karaoke machine in the crowd. And then the next one was like a cardboard cutout of Dermot O'Leary, and then that got chucked in the fucking crowd and someone like anyone just grabbed for it. And then there was like a Henry Hoover that somebody won that it just chucked in, and then just like it sort of crowd surfed over to the accessibility platform, and a lovely lady in a wheelchair, she won it. And I'm like, what the fuck is she gonna do with a fucking Henry? How is she gonna get that home, dude? It was just fucking carnage. It was chaos, but I was crying. It was so funny. Everyone in there was having a fucking blast. It was just so funny. It was so fun. Really energetic, and I think that went on to early hours in the morning, so we did that for a couple of hours and it was a right laugh. And then Friday, I have actually made some notes here because otherwise I just won't forget the bands that I saw. So on the Friday, I can't remember who I saw first. It was either Hollywood Undead or it was Creeper. Now, I'll talk about Hollywood Undead first, even though they may have not been the first band that I saw of the day. I think we started quite late in the day because we was up so late the night before. But Hollywood Undead, they are kind of like, I just hear Eminem for some reason. I know they don't sound like Eminem, but I think one of the guys actually does sound a little bit like Eminem. So it's kind of rappy, that sort of thing. It was cool. It was cool to see a different kind of band, but it wasn't really my scene per se. But I'm glad I've kind of ticked them off the list. Then I went to go and see Creeper on the second stage. Opus stage is the second stage, I think, and Apex is the main stage. Now, one of my friends is a massive fan of Creeper, and he keeps kind of on me, saying, you really need to see Creeper. They're amazing. I love them, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to go and see them. So I went to see them. It was fucking rammed. Like, so obviously they've got a big fan base. And the only way I can kind of describe them is like they have this really amazing face paint with like these sort of sideburns that's blacked out. So it's like kind of this like black face paint all around the sides of the edge with the pointy bit here. They're very vampire-esque, like vampiric / gothic / rockabilly kind of is kind of how I can explain their aesthetic. Their music is very gothy, rockabilly, vampiric. They've got this whole like almost like Alice Cooper-esque kind of vibe about them, which I really loved. I thought they were fantastic, actually. The lead vocalist, I don't actually know their names because I'm not au fait with anything to do with their band, I'll be honest. It's the first time I'm kind of going in balls deep. But their main lead singer, he had a really great voice. He had this really interesting range. When he was singing at the low end, he almost had like a kind of Elvis-y twang. I know he was like kind of putting on this vampiric Elvis-y twang, but then he would sing really great outside of that. And then the female backing vocalist, but she also did a couple of songs where she took the lead vocals. She was absolutely phenomenal and hotter than hell, might I add. Like, she looked fucking stunning. She had the most stunning blue eyes and she had this amazing mullet. She just looked phenomenal. The whole band looked phenomenal. Their makeup was amazing. They had like sort of blood dripping down here, and the lead singer sort of had blood dripping out of one eye as well. I think it was his left eye, it was all dripping out, and then later on he kind of put a patch over that eye. And they kind of just sort of, yeah, the actual lyrics were quite simplistic. I think the song structure was quite simplistic, but it was really catchy. It was really enjoyable. I've really enjoyed them live. I thought they were very entertaining. And then they did this thing at the end when the lead singer basically went to a guillotine and he had his head chopped off, much like Alice Cooper does in some of his shows. So I've seen Alice Cooper quite a lot. I've seen Alice get hanged. I've seen Alice have his head chopped off at shows. So it was kind of cool to see a band play homage to him and this sort of gimmick and this sort of shtick that Alice Cooper does. But it really worked well. It didn't feel like he was like plagiarizing his thing. It just worked with the whole theme. And yeah, they were just really cool. I was surprised how much I really enjoyed them. And then after that, I kind of head to the main Apex stage and saw Electric Callboy. Electric Callboy are one of my favorite bands. I absolutely love them. If you're into techno, metal, Europop, trance, it's kind of like a clusterfuck, a melting pot of all of those genres all mixed up. You've got Nico, who has got a beautiful voice. It's very like interesting and unique with a very interesting range. And then you've got Kevin, who does like the hard vocals and the roaring, and it just complements each other so well. And the way that they write songs is so fun. It's so interesting. Really crowd interactive. You can really get into a song really easily, and I just thought they were so good. The only thing I will say about Electric Callboy's set is I noticed the gaps between songs quite a lot, whereas I haven't really noticed it that much in previous concerts. And I think that maybe Electric Callboy are best suited to perform in the evening, where you can enjoy more of the lighting and the effects, but also like their whole backing screen and all of the imagery and the graphics and stuff. I don't think you could fully appreciate it in the daytime, in the afternoon. But also yeah, I don't know. I feel like in a more intimate environment, you just are kind of really engaged, where it's easy to not feel as pulled in that kind of environment. So it really does feel a little bit disjointed with the little gaps where they're having costume changes, and maybe Electric Callboy just don't need to do those costume changes anymore. Maybe they'll just do it for like a couple of songs like Pump It, Hyper Hyper, and maybe the last costume change for We Got the Moves. I don't know. But I thought it was amazing, really enjoyed it, and I know that a lot of other people who'd never seen them before come away saying it was really, really awesome. After that, I kind of took a change of pace and I went to the Avalanche stage, which is like the big stage under the tent. Now, just a quick one. So Download Festival have had quite a lot of layout changes in the main arena. So Avalanche stage seems to be a lot bigger, and it's more in a big open space where I believe camper van parking used to be in that area, and they've kind of opened it all out now, and they've got the Avalanche stage with a really, really big open field. So there's much more space in those areas, and yeah, I just feel like it just was just nice and open. There was a lot more space around the food court. I mean, there was a little food court before, but there's no way that would have worked with the amount of people that were there this year. I think it was 95,000 people there this year, which was just absolutely fucking insane. And actually, just on that note, because literally as I'm talking, I've just had a message I've just had a message through my work, so I'm just going to reply to that. But yeah, so the crowd was like really, really insanely busy this year. I mean, insanely busy. I don't think I've seen Download that busy since when Metallica were there in 2023. Now that was fucking heaving, but this felt like it was heaving more. I don't know why, it just did. One thing that I guess did not help is that a lot of people wanted to see the same acts. So you'd literally have the pile of people just moving from one space to another, and rarely was the group split in half. So that kind of felt quite claustrophobic at times. But also on the main hill going down towards the main apex stage where you've got the natural amphitheatre, people were just camped, man. Like there were just chairs all the way down the hill. And now that's not something new. People bring chairs every year. What was annoying though is that people were still sitting in those chairs when main acts were about to perform, and then they'd stand up and they'd leave the chairs open behind them, and it's like, everyone's going to be standing up, why don't you just put your chair away? Totally understand if people are like elderly or disabled and they need like that rest, but also like I'm like in my 40s, I need to sit my ass down sometimes as well. But it just felt a little bit inconsiderate to everybody, because especially if you're moving from one stage to the next, such as Dogtooth, for example, and you're heading to Avalanche, you could literally not filter through the crowd. Like, there was absolutely impossible, because you've got a chair, a human, a chair, a human. Like, where the fuck do you walk in between? And no one had left any gaps between the chairs, so you couldn't even go through in between the chairs. It was fucking annoying, man. And you know, just the crowd in general, there were a few issues in general just with like behaviour, I would say. So I think where there was a lot of people this year, I call them Glasto rejects, because Glastonbury wasn't on this year, and it definitely felt like these people either go to Reading, Leeds or Glastonbury or fucking Latitude or whatever. They were just not downloaders, to put it bluntly, and their behaviour was fucking disgusting. You had people like popping pills and taking coke in broad daylight without giving a fuck. There was people that were kicking and punching other people within the pits, had no pit etiquette whatsoever, had no idea how to mosh in a Download pit, and there were people getting kicked in the head. There was people having their phones stolen. These are things that are just like, what the fuck? Like, this is just odd. And I've never known Download to stop a set so many times as they did at Download this year. I mean, there was multiple bands I saw and they just kept stopping and starting because of people getting crushed, people getting hurt, people getting hit, people having things thrown at them, or fuck knows what, which was just not on, man. It was really uncool, and I was a bit pissed about that, to be perfectly honest. I hope that doesn't happen again next year. But back to the music. So that was Friday. Saturday, I started the day with Wild Hearts, Ginger and the Wild Hearts. I know that Ginger recently had a cancer diagnosis and he's refused treatment outright, which is fine. That's what he wants to do. It's his life. So it was kind of poignant to see him perform with his band. And he had his dog Maggie come on stage at the end, which was utterly adorable. His dog, bless him, was so happy to be on stage and was so happy to, you know, just licking Ginger's face and stuff. It was the cutest thing ever. It was absolutely adorable. They did a really good set. They were a solid band, you know, anyone that's seen Ginger and the Wild Hearts, they are solid. And then after that, I head up to the Dogtooth stage and I saw a British Iranian band called Lowdown, who are fronted by a female vocalist who sings in a very Iranian-esque operatic voice. It's mostly a lot of, you know, sort of thing. But it was so interesting and it was such a beautiful, like, different vibe, you know, like it was very heavy metal but with this operatic Iranian Middle Eastern-esque kind of vocals over the top, some really interesting Iranian and Middle Eastern imagery in the background, quite heavily political, which is perfectly reasonable. And yeah, so there was all of that going on. And also they had like these daggers or athenaes, and then it would become a sword, and she was kind of like swinging it about like that. And it just was really, really interesting. And she was dressed beautifully in this beautiful Iranian dress. She had the most gorgeous curly hair, and she just, you know, the band was a vision, you know, and it was very, you know, you get very sucked into the vibe. But what I will say is, like, after like the first and the second and the third song, it got quite samey. The first and second song, there was this belly dance that was performing on stage, which was really kind of cool to see something different. But yeah, it did feel quite samey after about 3 songs because there wasn't really much differentiation, or if that's even a word. There wasn't really any difference between songs. So I don't want to say I got bored, but like I kind of got it and I was like, okay, I'm done. Let's move on to something else. Oh, fuck a duck. I totally forgot to mention yesterday, I totally forgot to mention on the Friday after Electric Callboy, I just jumped straight to Saturday because then got sidetracked. I totally forgot, on the Saturday after Electric Callboy, we went to see Feeder. Feeder is a band that I'm not really a fan of, but I was pleasantly surprised by how tight they were, how utterly amazing they were, how just really, really good live solid band, you know, really great vocals, really tight band, really nice graphics and everything else. I really enjoyed them, and I was surprised at how many songs I actually know by Feeder. I was really shocked. But yeah, and then the last band of the Friday, which I feel terrible that I skipped this, was Limp Bizkit. Now, Limp Bizkit I have seen before, and the last time I saw them I was really disappointed, to put it mildly. I felt that they opened up with Break Stuff, which is like just blowing your load as soon as you start the show, to be perfectly honest, because Break Stuff is their best song in my opinion. It's the song that you play when you're really fucking pissed off, and I love that song really fucking loud. So to start off with that, and then like kind of what songs you're going to be playing after that, I mean, Keep Rolling, Behind Blue Eyes, Golden Cobra, and they didn't even play Golden Cobra last time I saw them prior to Friday. So I was like, you know, most of the time it was Fred Durst just talking shit. Most of the time it was just Fred Durst just waffling and they whittling between songs, and it was just felt like they were just wasting time and just filling up the time as much as they could and hardly played any songs. It was really fucking frustrating. So we listened to a bit of Limp Bizkit and it felt like it was going in the same direction, to be perfectly frank, and I was like just really fucking frustrated. You know, like, you're a headliner, you've got all this time to perform and you're just fucking about. So I it's a big thumbs down for Limp Bizkit as being a headliner, to be perfectly honest. I know that wasn't everybody's experience, but for me, they fell really flat. Hence why I wasn't that fussed about talking about them the first time round. Anyway, so back to Saturday. So I've seen the Wild Hearts and Lowen. Then I came out of there and I noticed that I planned to just sort of having a wander and having a look at, you know, having a look at shops and stuff. And then I noticed that on the main stage, there was like these spray cans and they had like all graffiti on them and it all looked a bit sort of skateboardy. And I thought, oh, this looks really interesting. I've not heard of this band, South Arcade. Let's have a little look. So we sat and watched South Arcade and I was really glad that I did, because if you were a skater or wore like Criminal Damage skater shorts or was grungy in any way or used to wear Duff trainers like me or Vans or whatever it was, skateboarding and whatnot, like they would be right up your street. They were like punk pop, like teen punk pop. It was like everything nostalgic about the early 2000s, mid 90s, that sort of time. It was just really, really cool, and it put a big smile on my face, and me and my friends and my fella just thought it was really good fun. I mean, they were really young. They couldn't have been any older than like their early 20s. They were all so young and fresh faced. They were having the best time. They looked like they were just having like so much fun, and it was just so lovely to watch. And I really, really enjoyed their set. You know, will I listen to their albums? Probably not, but I think that it was really nice just to kind of switch it up after hearing a lot of the Uranian stuff. It was just a really nice change of pace. And yeah, it was just really, really good. And then after that, I went to see a band called, is it Landmarks or Landmarks? I don't know. But we had, you know, sort of a bit of time watching those. Didn't really vibe with them, although I did like these kind of statues that they had on the stage. I thought that was really interesting, but I just didn't really vibe with them. They weren't really my thing. After that was Baby Metal. I mean, Baby Metal, what can you say? Solid band. Cutest little Japanese girls ever. Their choreography is so good. They always put on a great show. I don't know how they dance and do a full routine for every single song. It's quite amazing, to be perfectly honest. Only thing I'd say I was a bit disappointed with is that Electric Callboy and Baby Metal didn't think to join each other on stage. I thought that was a little bit of a missed opportunity to do the rat-a-ta-ta. Because Electric Callboy did play that song in their set, and so did Baby Metal, but they had like a graphic of each other on the background and then a backing track with the voices. Like, oh, it's a bit of a cop-out. I mean, like maybe Electric Callboy could have stayed that extra day, or, you know, Baby Metal could have come a day earlier. It just seemed like a real missed opportunity that they didn't do that, and it was a bit kind of disappointing. So yeah, unfortunately that didn't happen. And then we watched Trivium. I fucking love Trivium. Trivium are awesome. I think they're awesome band. I love their lyricism. I love their melodic rock. I love the hardness. I love their performance. I think they're real showmen. I just really, really love and enjoy Trivium. I thought they were badass. Not much else to say, to be honest. And then after that, we flew to, what was it? It was the second stage again, the Opus stage, and we went to see the Architects. And that was a real frustrating set, to be honest, because I just was really annoyed by the whole thing. I wanted to really enjoy it, but it was stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. As I said, because of this pit situation, people don't understand pit etiquette. People were just hitting each other and bashing each other, and security was stopping the show. And when I say constantly, it was literally they start playing, 5 minutes later, stop. Start playing, 10 minutes later, stop. It was so frustrating, and the lead singer of the Architects was getting really pissed off, and for that reason it was really hard to kind of get into the flow, really hard to kind of get absorbed in it. I'd never seen the Architects before, so it kind of spoilt the experience for me quite a lot. Yeah, I don't really have much to say other than it was just a really frustrating, disjointed set. And I think they actually ended up playing an extra 15 minutes to make up for the time that was lost, which must have been so annoying for them as a band. And then finally Guns N' Roses were on the main stage. Because of the overlap, they could have overlapped with Guns N' Roses ever so slightly, so we popped over to Guns N' Roses because my friend Aid had not seen them before, and it was like to tick them off his bucket list basically. And yeah, I mean, my friend Aid described Axl Rose as watching your nan on stage, and that is probably the best description of Axl Rose I can think of. I am not a big Guns N' Roses fan by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, they're the most, in my humble opinion, I know this is not everyone's opinion, in my opinion, I think they're massively overrated. I obviously appreciate and enjoy a lot of their songs. You know, Appetite Destruction is a classic album. I like Rocket Queen, I like Paradise City, I like Welcome to the Jungle, November Rain, Sweet Child of Mine. They're all classics. No issues with any of that. Even Knocking on Heaven's Door is not a bad cover, although I'm not a fan of Bob Dylan. But it just, Axl needs to just pack it in, man. I mean, like, that guy's voice is fucking shot. And as he was singing, it was getting progressively worse, and he was sounding like that old granddad from Family Guy. He was like getting worse and worse. And I was like, fucking hell, this is so bad. It was embarrassing, actually. And they was given like a 3-hour set, which I think is fucking insane. I stayed an hour and I was done. I did hear that they did cut their set short, but I don't know how true that is. But last time I saw Guns N' Roses, however many years ago, they were basically longing out every song by just filling it with various different solos and whittling about with fucking shit. And honestly, in that hour, they were doing exactly the same, trying to stretch out songs as long as possible, give Axl loads of breaks whilst he was singing, because clearly his voice was struggling. I also might not be popular for saying that I think that Slash's chops are going. I think that he is not as nimble on the guitar as he once was. He seems to be kind of stiffening up. His feel is starting to get a bit wooden. I just noticed that he wasn't in the flow, and I've seen Slash so many times. I mean, he is absolutely iconic. He is such a star. He's like one of the few stars that I see on stage that I get really starstruck by, because I think he just has this aura that he's just such a big star. He's just amazing to watch. And I've seen Slash doing his own solo stuff with Velvet Revolver? Yeah, and with Miles Kennedy, and also doing it with Guns N' Roses. I've seen him in about 3 or 4 bands, and he's always someone I just become totally starstruck by. So yeah, he just was, he was enough for me to watch, and it was cool to see Duff on there as well. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think the Guns N' Roses need to hang up their towel basically, and just call it a day, you know. Do what David Coverdale did and accept that the voice is gone, his days are numbered, and just knock it on the head, you know, because I think it was embarrassing to watch. It was literally embarrassing, like watching your nan miss Doubtfire on stage, and it was just a bit, yeah, it was a bit naff. So Saturday was kind of like a hit and miss in terms of music. And on the Sunday, a little bit TMI here, so apologies for this in advance. I started my day off causing quite a nasty injury to myself. I have had nipple piercings, and I was kind of sorting myself out in the morning, getting dressed and that, and we had new wristbands this year that were really hard plastic for Camping Plus. And as I was getting myself dressed, my nipple bar got caught underneath this bar, and I literally did that. Like, obviously I didn't get it caught and then do that, but as I moved my arm, it got caught and it ripped my nipple bar, not out, but basically all the way to the center. The whole side of my nipple was completely ripped, and that was not an enjoyable experience. I didn't feel any pain because it was so fast, but I kind of sat there for a minute thinking, fuck, I've just torn my nipple in half. This is not good. Had to clean up all the blood and stuff, and then had to sort of bandage myself up and that, which was really fucking shit. So unfortunately, I've had to retire my nipple piercings, which I'm incredibly sad about, after having them for nearly 9 years. So I'm really, really gutted about losing my nipple piercings, because I fucking love them and I've had so much fun with them for so many years. But now unfortunately they have retired to allow my nipple to heal. Will I get them redone in the future? Possibly, but to pardon the pun, they were a bit of a pain in the tits. They would get caught on things frequently. They'd flare up whenever I was due my cycle. So they were probably a little bit more trouble than they were worth. And, you know, people retire piercings eventually at some stage. My fella used to have his eyebrow pierced, and he had to retire that. So, you know, it's just one of those things. So I'll probably end up getting like a tattoo or another piercing to kind of drown my sorrows about losing my nipple piercings. But yeah, I'm just really sad about that. So that was my start to the day. So I was on a bit of a low as it was. First band of the day that I saw was Mammoth. So that's Eddie Van Halen's son, Wolfgang Van Halen, or Wolf Van Halen. Absolutely lovely bloke, incredibly talented, fantastic voice, very good songwriter, plays all of the instruments in his songs, records them all, mixes them all, does his whole album completely on his own, which is incredibly impressive. And then obviously he goes out on tour with this band, but he's incredibly talented, and dare I say, I think he's probably more talented than his father was. And yeah, he just has a really great band. It feels very like, I don't want to say surfer rock, but you know, like how Bill and Ted has that kind of 80s-esque vibe about it. It has that kind of Bill and Ted quality. I can't really describe it. But yeah, it's just so good, you know, to listen to. It's really easy to listen to, very easygoing rock, inoffensive, just really good solid rock. And he has got a great voice as well. So started off the day like that, and it was brilliant. And then it kind of had a little bit of a dip, because we saw a band that Keanu Reeves plays bass in. Now I wanted to go purely because Keanu Reeves, I mean, I'm seeing Neo in the flesh here. Went to see him. He was the bassist, didn't really have any stage presence, bless him. And his band, I can kind of only compare them to maybe like Queens of the Stone Age or something like that. You know, where like it's quite drony, unremarkable kind of dad rock. Like there was no energy, there was no charisma, there was not really any stage presence. They actually felt like they just were not, I don't know, they just didn't feel part of Download. They felt like they shouldn't be there. They felt very mainstream and a bit sort of indie-ish. They weren't rock really at all. I thought they were quite mellow and a bit depressing. So it was just a bit, it's not great. Stayed for a few songs and fucked off. But yeah, I've seen Neo in the flesh, which made me happy. And then after that, we pumped up the tempo and went to go and see a Indian metal band called Bloodywood on the main stage. And they were fucking phenomenal. Oh my God, they were amazing. Like so energetic, so charismatic, so badass. Got the whole crowd pumping. I loved their unique sound. We had like this sort of rapping emceeing, but then this roary metal, angry roars and screams. And then you had this sort of like Bhangra kind of beat in the background. It was very Indian, and oh, it was fucking great. They were so unique. And first time I've ever seen Bloodywood, and I thought they were amazing, you know. And I liked the way they'd kind of played on the whole Bollywood thing, but I'd made it Bloodywood, so it was in keeping with the metal. But I also liked the way that they made a point of saying that, you know, metal is not a big genre in India. In fact, it's pretty much non-existent in India, and that they were doing their part to represent metal and the community in India, which I thought was really fantastic. They're on the right side of history when it comes to politics, you know, speaking up for Palestine and stuff like that, which I thought was really great. And I come away from that thinking, what a great bunch of dudes, you know, really cool, really awesome music, really pumped up, and it was just fucking great. They were my band of the day on the Sunday. They were absolutely sick. Then it kind of the tempo went down a bit again, because Pretty Reckless was on afterwards, which I thought was a fucking weird choice to have them after Bloodywood. And I guess it's purely because Pretty Reckless have a bigger career, and are probably more well known than Bloodywood. I just thought it was a bit of a lull straight after them. You know, again, I'm not a fan of Pretty Reckless. I think they're kind of unremarkable, inoffensive rock. I think that Taylor Momsen is an attractive front singer. She has a good voice, but just not really my bag. After that was Ice Nine Kills. Now, I have never seen Ice Nine Kills before, so I had high expectations for them. I'd heard a lot of things about, you know, the theatrical side of it, and it all being around slasher films and horror films, and there all being this like acting in the background and stuff. So it was, you know, the whole aesthetic was super interesting. I loved the way they were dressed. I loved that they had like scenes kind of being acted as they were singing, and that the lead singer would like kind of stab somebody, and there would be like the slasher films kind of blending in with the music. I didn't really get to hear the lyrics very well. I felt that the lyrics were, maybe the sound was a little bit off where I was standing for Ice Nine Kills, but I just kind of feel like if I was in an intimate concert environment, that the lyrics and the performance would translate better, and that I can get a real immersive sense of it. It just felt that maybe the arena and being in a festival environment was quite overwhelming. I think they'd be better in a intimate setting, and I definitely want to get tickets to see them separately, and just get a feel for them really, because I don't think the festival justified what they were all about, and I was a little disappointed that I didn't really get a full sense of them. But otherwise, aesthetically, they looked great. They had like lots of references to films like American Psycho, Jason Voorhees. Is he the guy from, I don't know, is it Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I might be thinking of the wrong film entirely. Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, all of those kinds of slasher films. Silence of the Lambs as well at the start, where the guy come out with the mask and sort of wheeled in his straitjacket. So that was really ace. It was really cool. Lots of blood, lots of guts, not for the faint-hearted, lots of stabbing. Definitely not child-friendly. And talking on the child-friendly front, my fucking God, there were so many kids at Download this year. No issues whatsoever. Can I just actually, because I'm talking so much, I need a sip of tea. So, lost my trail of thought. So there were so many children at Download this year, and not just like young kids. I mean babies, like actual fucking fresh out of the womb babies that were less than a year old, which I thought was fucking wild. Why you would bring a baby under the age of 1 or even under the age of 3 is beyond me. They're not going to remember being at Download. You're probably going to damage their hearing even with the headphones on, or it be dreadfully uncomfortable for them having that headphone set on as a baby. You're not going to be paying them any attention whatsoever. How can you possibly be attentive to your child in a festival environment? The sun was fucking burning hot on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't know if parents were being responsible keeping their kids topped up with suntan cream either. But I just noticed there was a lot of parents, younger parents, because I'm in my early 40s, I think they must have been in their mid 30s, with babies. I'm like, Download Festival isn't for babies. Like, why? I just don't understand what goes through people's heads. If your child is 8+, absolutely, you know, they are the kids of Download Festival's future. They are the metalheads of the future. Knock your fucking self out. They'll remember it, you know. But there surely must be a cut-off point to what age you can bring to a Download Festival, because I saw like a 3 or 4-year-old running around Download on their own, and I've seen forums saying that there was kids just literally wandering on their own. Parents nowhere in sight. Like, the parents just looked for not looked for a moment. This kid's just fucking wandered off. and it was in a 95,000 capacity festival. Like, it's so fucking dangerous. Like, don't bring your kids in and not keep an eye on them. It's just wild. I don't even know how a parent can enjoy or appreciate a set with having to keep one eye on one child and one. I just makes no fucking sense to me. You know, but we had a mini moshers camp, and there was obviously a lot of kids, and they're trying to make it more child friendly. Carts were allowed in the main arena for the first time as well, so you had a lot of people with their very small children in these carts that they'd kind of filled with pillows and things. And when it got to like past the child's bedtime, because kids go to bed at like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, right, they were covering them in pillows and blankets, and it's just like they're wheeling these kids around, and just like these poor fucking kids, they're sunburnt, they're tired, it's a long day for them, it's loud, it's noisy, it's dusty. I just don't get it. That's just my opinion. I get it, right? But it's just like, yeah, I don't think it was appropriate to have really, really young babies and young children at the festival. So looping back, after Ice Nine Kills, I went to the second stage and saw Day to Remember, who were very, very good. I really enjoyed their set. I thought they were very upbeat, very live, really interactive with the crowd, very engaging, very energetic. Super fun. Again, their set got stopped because of issues in the crowd, which was really fucking annoying. But yeah, really solid band, really enjoyed them a lot. And I think we left like maybe 20 minutes towards the end because I was really concerned that the main stage was going to get mental for Linkin Park. So we went over to the main stage for Linkin Park. Now, being as honest as I possibly can about Linkin Park without trying to upset too many people, I thought that the stage was fantastic. The lighting and the graphics was fantastic. Mike Shinoda is fantastic. I thought that the songs that they performed from Zero, I think their album is, and the songs that have been written basically since Emily has been in the band, I thought that Emily sang those songs fantastically. She was excellent. Her vocals were utterly amazing. She looked like she fit in the band, like she looked like she fit in with the aesthetic, that she was enjoying herself, that the band had this re-energized energy, that, you know, they were all locked in with each other, which was really, really great to see. I thought the lighting and the effects was fantastic as well. Where it fell a little flat for me, however, is when Emily sang songs from Hybrid Theory or Meteora, songs that were very much Chester's songs, you know, and the way that he sang those songs with pure emotion and pure connection to the lyrics because they were from his experiences, and she obviously doesn't have the same connection to those songs. The band had tried to accommodate her vocal range because her range is not the same as Chester's. They tried to accommodate her range by, you know, dropping the key down and stuff like that, but she still was visibly struggling to sing in the range that Chester performed those songs originally. And unfortunately the essence that was originally part of those songs that made those songs so special, it just wasn't there. And you know, a lot of the time when Emily was struggling, she was turning the microphone to the crowd to sing parts of the song, but it wasn't even like she sung the verse and passed the chorus. It was like she did 2 words off the start of the song and pass it over. And it felt like a bit of a cop-out, like rather than her trying to sing it, she was like, crowd do it because it's too much effort for me. And it just felt like kind of off and inappropriate a lot of the time, and then it was just all in wrong timing and stuff. Maybe I'm being like hypercritical. I do think she's a great singer. I do think she fits in really well with the band, and I think that their next chapter, when they write new songs and they continue, I think they're gonna be great, and they're gonna have more fans, and I think they're gonna be fantastic. I just think that she is never going to be able to sing those songs and get the energy across that was originally captured in those. And I found myself feeling like super emotional, to be honest, hearing some of those songs because they just didn't have the same gravitas and the same essence as they did when I saw Chester perform those live. And it just kind of hit me, fuck, I'm never going to hear these songs again sung by him again. And it was just really fucking sad. So yeah, I think that the kind of, as the main headliner and the closing act for the festival, I came away feeling like really quite sad that it ended on that note. It just made me feel really, really sad. But at the same time, I thought they were great, and I thought that they were a worthy headliner, and that yeah, I will definitely see them again when they've got more new things out, new material, and eventually, you know, maybe they'll only keep 1 or 2 classic tracks like Crawling or In the End or Paper Cut, and that will be that, and they won't do any more than maybe a 2 or 3 songs, and everything will be new. I think they will gradually evolve to just their new stuff, which I think is the right thing to do. But yeah, other than that, you know, like I say, Mike Shinoda, he's just so good, and the overall band is just so good and so tight and so solid. Again, we had that issue where the crowd had to be stopped mid-set, which really interrupted the flow, which was very, very annoying. And again, I come back to, I think there was a lot of people at Download this year who do not understand pit etiquette, do not understand how to mosh in a metal festival. I heard that there was a lot of punching and kicking and people just generally being really shitty and aggressive and stealing things like people's phones and stuff like that in the crowd, which is just really fucking cunty, to be perfectly honest. And I hope those people are not at Download next year. And then, yeah, so overall, the festival wrapped up really nicely. I saw some amazing bands. I got really sunburnt. My body's absolutely aching from head to toe. I feel totally zonked and exhausted. I still have to take my hair out because, unfortunately, as much as I love my dreads, I'm not allowed to have my dreads for work, which really fucking sucks. I feel like when I have my dreads in, I feel like I am myself. I think deep down in my soul, I'm a little cyber goth girl, and like, because I'm definitely goth at heart, but I'm cyber goth because I'm rainbow, but I'm also dead inside. But so actually talking about that, funny enough, I was at Download, there was this little stall, and it was called the Jazzy Frog, and they make like their own pins and things. So whilst I have them next to me, I'm going to show you just a couple of pins that I bought just on that subject. So here you go. Yeah, one of them here is the Jazzy Frog, and it's literally a unicorn, but also dead inside. Anywho, thanks very much for listening. I'll probably make a video again at some point, but yeah, peace out, and I hope you enjoyed Download Festival who was there. But yeah, take care, speak to you soon, bye.